The moment you give the first minutes of your waking breath to the noise of the world, you surrender your peace. You step out of your door completely undefended. The enemy of your soul loves a rushed morning. He thrives when you are too busy to be anchored, too distracted to be covered. There is a powerful, unshakable way to withstand the invisible opposition you face every single day. And it requires only one shift. Give God the first word, because the voice you choose to listen to in the quiet of the morning is the voice that will rule the rest of your day. Think about the silence of your house before the sun comes up. It is a very specific kind of quiet. You sit there, maybe on the edge of the bed or alone at the kitchen table with a warm cup in your hands. The room is still wrapped in the deep shadows of the night. There are no other voices yet, no immediate demands, just you and the sheer weight of the life you are trying so hard to hold together. We rarely talk about the silent effort it takes just to keep standing, to show up, to provide, to be the rock for everyone else, when internally you are fighting a battle nobody even knows about. The pressure that rests heavily on your shoulders, the quiet grief you carry, the uncertainty of what the next season holds. The world simply expects you to function, to keep moving forward no matter the toll it takes. But God does not ask you to perform. Before we go any further, I need to stop here for just a moment. Because what we are about to talk about, giving God the first word, most people understand it in spirit. But then the morning ends, the day takes over, and the armor never quite gets put on. Not because the faith is not there, because we are missing the specific keys Jesus already left for us, hidden inside his parables, about how to actually build that perimeter. How to make the morning quiet hold through the afternoon heat. I left something in the first pinned comment below this video that goes into exactly that. Check it before we continue. What is there connects directly into everything we are about to walk through. When Jesus walked this earth, he intimately knew the crushing weight of people's expectations, the constant, relentless demands for his time, his energy, his healing. Yet, we see a distinct rhythm in his life. Long before daylight, while the world was still asleep, he would slip away into solitary places. He didn't rush into the chaos. He didn't let the urgency of the crowds dictate his spirit. He sought the Father first. If the Son of God found it absolutely necessary to anchor his soul in those early solitary hours, how much more do we need it? When you choose to give God that first word, you are doing something profoundly defiant. You are looking at the mounting pile of daily anxieties and silently declaring that they do not own you. They do not get to dictate your peace today. This isn't about checking off a religious routine. It is about your spiritual survival. The truth is, the opposition we face daily isn't always a loud roar. Usually, it is incredibly subtle. It feeds on your physical exhaustion. It whispers lies of inadequacy and fear when your mind is most unguarded. If your very first input of the morning is the news, the unpaid bills, the endless digital scrolling, you are essentially walking onto a battlefield completely exposed. But when you open his word, when you let his truth be the very first echo in your mind, even if it is just one single verse, when you breathe out a simple, honest prayer, "Lord, I am tired, lead my steps today," you alter the entire fabric of your day. You establish a perimeter. There is a reason the scriptures tell us to put on the armor of God. It is because the world we walk into every day is not neutral territory. The opposition you feel, that sudden flare of anger over a minor inconvenience, the heavy dread that settles in your chest on the commute, the unexplainable, exhausting friction in your closest relationships, it is not just bad luck. It is not just you having a bad week. It is spiritual friction. The enemy of your peace operates most effectively in the shadows of our mundane routines. He doesn't usually need to destroy your life overnight with a massive catastrophe. He just needs to slowly, quietly drain your hope. He just needs to make you feel isolated in a crowded room. He whispers that your efforts are invisible, that your sacrifices go completely unnoticed by everyone around you, that the heavy burden you are carrying will eventually break you. And if the only voices you listen to early in the morning are the voices of your own fatigue, the news cycle, and the demands of this world, those subtle lies will slowly begin to sound like the absolute truth. What you are recognizing right now, that this is not just bad luck, that there is a real opposition working in the mundane, that awareness alone changes the morning. But here is what I have come to understand. The people who actually hold the perimeter through the full day are not just aware of the enemy's strategy. They found the specific, practical foundation Jesus encoded into his parables for exactly this kind of daily battle. Keys about provision, about peace that holds under pressure, about the kind of quiet authority that does not need to shout. It is in the first pinned comment below this video. Go find it before the day pulls you away from this moment. What is there goes far deeper than what we can cover here. This is exactly why the first word of the day carries such intense, vital weight. Giving God the first word is the act of putting on your armor before the arrows even start flying. Imagine stepping out into a freezing, bitter storm wearing nothing but a light shirt. You wouldn't do it. You would instinctively prepare for the harsh climate you are about to face. Yet so often we step into the spiritual climate of our day completely unprotected, leaving our minds wide open to whatever the day decides to throw at us. When you open the Psalms, when you read a simple proverb, when you just sit in the stillness and invite the Holy Spirit to govern your thoughts, you are putting up a shield. You are deliberately reminding your soul of who holds the ultimate authority over your life. You are taking the pen out of the hands of your anxiety and giving it back to the author of your faith. It does not mean the storms won't come. The stressful phone calls will still happen. The unexpected bills will still arrive. The difficult people will still be difficult. But you will be different. You will carry a quiet steadiness, a grounded resilience, because the very first voice that defined your identity that morning wasn't a boss, wasn't a bank account, and wasn't your own fear. It was your Creator. You cannot fight today's battles with yesterday's strength. It is a quiet, harsh reality we often try to ignore. We try to stretch yesterday's patience, yesterday's endurance into a brand new day that comes with its own entirely new set of demands. But spiritual strength does not simply roll over. It must be renewed. Think of the ancient Israelites walking through the unforgiving wilderness, a vast, barren stretch of land where survival seemed impossible, much like the seasons of life where you feel you are just wandering, waiting for a breakthrough. God provided for them daily with manna, but there was a vital condition. The manna appeared in the early morning, resting on the ground with the dew. They had to step out of their tents and gather it before the sun grew hot. If they waited, if they lingered and let the heat of the day rise, the provision melted away. There is a profound truth hidden in the dust of that ancient desert. There is a specific grace, a fresh provision of clarity and strength, waiting for you in the quiet of your morning. But you have to gather it before the heat of your day begins, before the endless notifications start pouring in, before the house wakes up, before the heavy machinery of your daily responsibility starts turning and completely consumes your attention. When we skip that morning gathering, when we rush straight from our beds into the fire of the day, we are essentially trying to survive on stale bread. We are trying to draw water from a well that ran dry yesterday afternoon. And then we wonder why we feel so easily broken by noon. We wonder why our patience snaps at the smallest friction. We wonder why the weight on our chest feels suddenly unmanageable. It is because we stepped into the wilderness without gathering our daily bread. I know how deeply tired you are. I know that sometimes asking for an extra 10 minutes in the morning feels like asking for a mountain to move. Sleep is a precious refuge when you are carrying a heavy, silent load. But the exhaustion of your spirit is far more dangerous than the fatigue of your body. When you give God the first word, you are not losing rest. You are securing the very sustenance that will keep you from collapsing when the afternoon winds blow hard against you. We spend so much of our lives gripping things tightly. If you pay attention to your own body right now, you might even notice that your shoulders are tense or your jaw is clenched. We carry this quiet physical tension because we are constantly mentally trying to hold the fragile pieces of our lives together. The finances, the children, the aging parents, the job security, the lingering health issues. It is a heavy, precarious balancing act. And the moment we wake up, our immediate instinct is to tighten that grip, to start managing the chaos, to start fixing what feels broken. But giving God the first word is the deliberate, quiet act of opening your hands. It is sitting in the stillness of the morning and admitting, I cannot control what happens today. I cannot force the outcomes I want. I cannot protect everyone I love from every single hurt. That admission is not a sign of defeat or weakness. It is actually the very beginning of true, unshakable peace. When you look closely at the scriptures, you begin to see a distinct pattern. God rarely asks his people to be strong in themselves. He asks them to be dependent. The world will tell you that maturity is complete independence, that success is needing no one and handling everything on your own. But spiritual maturity is exactly the opposite. It is realizing how desperately you need the presence of God before you take a single step into the unknown reality of a normal day. Without that morning surrender, we live defensively. We react to every problem, every sharp tone of voice, every sudden inconvenience as if it is a direct threat to our survival. We become easily offended, easily wounded, and easily drained. We bleed on people who didn't cut us simply because we are walking around with unhealed, unprotected spirits. But when you open the Word before you open your inbox, when you let His voice be the first truth you hear, you align your perspective with eternity. You are reminding yourself that the crisis you are facing right now is held within the hands of a God who measures the oceans in the hollow of His hand. You are taking the massive, overwhelming anxieties of your life and placing them next to the infinite nature of your Creator. The problems do not vanish. The friction doesn't magically disappear, but your position towards them shifts completely. You are no longer fighting from a place of panic. You are fighting from a place of rest. Consider the sheer volume of voices vying for your attention the moment your day begins. Every screen, every headline, every message is meticulously designed to create a sense of manufactured urgency. The world wants you to believe that if you don't respond immediately, if you don't react to the sudden crisis of the hour, everything you have built will somehow fall apart. The culture we live in operates entirely on the currency of panic. It thrives on keeping you in a constant, exhausting state of low-grade emergency. But the voice of God moves in a completely different cadence. He does not shout over the chaos. He does not compete with the frantic, flashing demands of your notifications. He is not in the earthquake and he is not in the fire. He is in the gentle whisper. And if you want to hear that whisper, you have to intentionally step out of the heavy traffic of your own life and stand completely still. This is exactly why giving him the first word is not a religious luxury. It is an absolute necessity for your spiritual survival. It is the only way to calibrate your mind before the confusion of the day sets in. Think about how easily a heavy ship drifts the moment the anchor is lifted. The water's current does not have to be violent to move it. It just has to be steady. And the invisible undercurrent of our daily life is a constant, steady pull toward anxiety, toward comparison, and toward a quiet, lingering despair. When you give God the first minutes of your morning, you are dropping a heavy anchor into deep, immovable waters. You are intentionally reminding your soul of what is actually true, long before the world has a chance to tell you what to fear. You read a psalm and you are quietly reminded that He is a shield around you. You look at the Gospels and you see the steady authority of Jesus standing in the middle of a raging storm, completely unbothered by the wind and the waves that terrified everyone else in the boat. That same steady authority is available to you. It is waiting for you in the quiet of the morning. But it is never found in rushing. It is not found in trying to outwork or outsmart your own anxiety. It is found in the quiet, profound choice to bow your head when everything else around you is demanding that you run. The discipline of silence is not something that comes naturally to any of us. In fact, everything inside of you will fight against it. If you are still here with me towards the end of this video, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel and walk with us every day. Because I know exactly how heavy the silence can be when you feel like you are facing the friction of life entirely on your own. And we want to remind you daily that you do not have to carry it alone. But let's talk about the raw reality of tomorrow morning. When that alarm goes off in the dark, the very first thing that will greet you is not peace. It is gravity, a physical and spiritual heaviness that begs you to stay under the covers, to hit snooze, to let the world wait just a little longer. And when you finally do open your eyes, the very first thought that attempts to enter your mind will usually be a worry. A sudden reminder of a problem you didn't solve yesterday. A sharp spike of anxiety about a conversation you have to navigate today. That specific moment, that fragile, solitary second before your feet hit the cold floor, that is the absolute front line of the battle. That is where the territory of your day is either surrendered or secured. You see, giving God the first word is rarely a romantic, effortless experience. Sometimes it is an act of sheer, stubborn faith. It is opening up the scriptures when your eyes are heavy and your heart feels completely numb. It is sitting in the quiet, staring at the pages, and deciding that the ancient truths written there are far more reliable than the loud, fleeting panic screaming inside your own head. It is the deliberate, quiet choice to not let your circumstances dictate your theology. When you make that choice, when you push past the heavy resistance of the morning, you begin to build a profound fortitude. You stop living as a victim of your own schedule. You start walking out your front door not as someone who is already defeated by the day, but as someone who has already spoken to the creator of the day. You carry a completely different atmosphere with you. You walk into rooms with a peace that the world did not give you, which means the world absolutely cannot take it away. Tomorrow morning, the sun will rise exactly as it always does. The cold floor will be there. The house will still be wrapped in that fragile, fleeting quiet. The heavy demands of your life will still be waiting for you, lined up just outside your door like giants on a battlefield. The responsibilities, the complicated relationships, the quiet grief, they do not vanish simply because a new day has begun. But tomorrow morning, you do not have to wake up and immediately surrender to the chaos. You do not have to reach blindly for the noise in the dark just to drown out the anxiety. Before you check the news, Before you read the messages, before you start mentally fixing everyone else's problems and bracing for the impact of the day, just pause. Let the room remain completely silent. Open your hands on your lap. Let the very first voice that speaks into your weary spirit be the one that spoke the universe into existence. Let him quietly remind you that he is the one holding you, so you no longer have to hold everything together by yourself. Let him provide that fresh, untouched grace before the heat of the afternoon tries to burn it away. Because when you give him the first word, the rest of the words spoken to you throughout the day lose their power to break you. You still step into the battlefield. The friction still comes, but you step into it covered. You step into it quiet, steady, and deeply anchored. You walk into the loud, demanding world with a profound advantage. And when the inevitable storms hit in the middle of your afternoon, you will find a strange, unshakable peace standing right there in the center of your chest. Because you already fought the hardest battle in the quiet of the morning, and you did not fight it alone. Before you go, the first pinned comment is still there. What I left inside gives you the specific, practical foundation that makes the morning anchor hold. The hidden keys Jesus encoded in his parables for exactly this kind of daily battle. So the perimeter stays up through the afternoon. Go find it before the day begins. Let him speak first there too. If this conversation brought some quiet strength to your spirit today, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so we can keep walking together. Please, share this video with 5 people who you know are fighting silent battles, people who are carrying heavy loads and need to remember how to rest. Leave a sincere comment below. Tell me what you are choosing to surrender tomorrow morning. And let me know what we should talk about in our next video. The morning is waiting for you. Let him speak first.